A young man who was humble, kind and had a bright future ahead of him. That's how Constable Matthew Hunt has been described as he was farewelled by hundreds of his family, friends and colleagues at an emotional service at Auckland's Eden Park. The 28-year-old police officer was shot dead during a traffic stop last month in the West Auckland suburb of Massey. The funeral had been delayed because some of his family had come from overseas and had to spend 2 weeks in managed isolation. Our reporter Sarah Robson and visual journalist Dan Cook filed this story.
The hearse carrying Constable Matthew Hunt's body arrived at Eden Park this morning, escorted by a police motorcade and a flyover by the Police Eagle helicopter. As well as Mr Hunt's family and friends, hundreds of police officers in their formal uniforms filed into the stadium for the service. The Prime Minister Jacinda Ardern, the Police Minister Stuart Nash, the MP for Rodney, Nationals Mark Mitchell and the Auckland Mayor Phil Goff were also in attendance. The Police Commissioner Andrew Costa said Mr Hunt was an ordinary person doing extraordinary things.
Part of the satisfaction of policing lies in dealing with the unexpected. However, the unexpected also makes our job inherently dangerous. In 1963, the minister at another police funeral said, "We're reminded there's a price to be paid for upholding the law. We're not always mindful of how much the police are required to give." On 19 June, we saw the terrible truth of these words. We're appalled by the senseless taking of a young life and the sort of circumstances that keep us awake at night.
Sergeant Dean Taylor was Mr Hunt's supervisor for 2 years at the Orewa police station.
Although at that time Matt was the junior member of the team, he stood out. Matt was a humble guy and wouldn't want this fuss. However, Matt, on this occasion, you deserve all of this.
Dean Taylor said Mr Hunt was calm, methodical and wanted to learn, and he was eager to start his detective training when the time was right. Mr Taylor said after a family harm incident, Mr Hunt would always insist on finishing his reports at the beach.
Matt loved taking in the view, and he had his favourite places in most of the areas that we cover, such as Red Beach, Snells Beach, but really any beach would do.
Dean Taylor said Mr Hunt was always very particular about his appearance, even getting his uniform trousers tailored for a sharper look, and that won him a legion of female fans out on the beat.
There were some of our regular female clients who appeared to be quite taken with Matt and his eye-catching, neat appearance. On one occasion, one of these females boasted of how she had recently done her eyebrows for Matt. Another one used to say, "Hi Matt," as she batted her eyelashes at him. Her partner wasn't too pleased and kept asking, "Which one of you is Matt?" every time the section dealt with him.
One of Mr Hunt's long-time friends and former flatmate, Shane McLennan, said they loved going out for dumplings and one of their favourite spots was Eden Noodles. At home, they also started sampling different hot sauces.
We started off pretty mild, working our way up to some of the hottest chilies in the world. I remember one day Matt brought a bottle home and for some reason we thought our taste buds were immune to it. It was one of the hottest chilies you can buy. But Matt decided to have a teaspoon of it anyway. I guess just to try it out. Well, within about 30 seconds, he was out on the deck with his shirt off, a bottle of milk in his hand, tears streaming down his face and asking for his mum. To this day, the bottle of hot sauce is in our fridge and doesn't get used.
Another friend, Regan Green, said Mr Hunt was more like a brother than a best friend.
He was an amazing human being and without effort touched so many lives. Matt was often quiet, but those who knew him best knew whenever he did say something, it was worth listening to. He was an intelligent, happy and determined man who was all in once he had his mind set on something.
Mr Hunt's mother, Diane, said from a very young age her son had wanted to join the police.
It never wavered, and Matthew found his forever family with the police. It was a perfect fit for him.
And Diane Hunt had this to say about her eldest child.
We saw you, Matthew. Those who love you saw behind your veil of humility, and we saw the calibre of the man you were destined to become. I love you, Matthew, now and forever. Every day, in every way, you made me so proud to be your mum.
After the funeral service, out on the pitch at Eden Park, the Police Commissioner Andrew Costa presented Mr Hunt's mother and sister with the police flag. Hundreds of officers then performed the police haka, ko te uru ponamu. Police officers lined up around the pitch, forming a guard of honour as the hearse made its way slowly around the perimeter, followed by Mr Hunt's family. The 24-year-old man who has been charged with murdering Mr Hunt appeared in court yesterday. He has entered a not guilty plea and will stand trial in July next year. A 30-year-old woman will also go to trial charged with being an accessory. Mō te hōtaka o te ahi ko Sarah Robson, aho.